success. Let's start by reuniting those kids who right now don't know when or if they're ever going to see their parents again. Let's continue by making sure that dreamers are free from the fear of deportation and are made U.S. citizens the same day today. Let's not do it at the price of walls or militarization or deporting their parents or ending family migration. Let's take advantage. If this is a problem, immigration is the best possible problem that this country could have right now. I want to make sure that Texas is the one to lead the way on this issue. We know it better than anyone else. And we're going to stop the small stuff, the fear. Mexicans are not rapists and criminals are not animals. They're not an infestation that can be walled out for 2,000 miles from Brownsville, Texas to San Diego, California. They are our fellow humans. And we have to start acting that way. We need a medic over here on the left side. A nurse or a doctor on the left side.
The heat, I bet.
I'm sure. He's sweating. He's sweating. We're sweating. I'm watching his shirt. I know. Because he's extending. Yeah. I love it.
Well, sweating's healthy. You look beautiful. She's not sweating at all. My hair is like...
No, I'm just trying. I'm just trying to keep my mascara from running. I mean, that's very important.
I know. Yep, right. And it's not even as hot as it has been recently.
I mean, but I'm between all that.
Yeah, no kidding.
Two glasses of wine.
I thought about like drinking. I said, no, probably not a good idea.
I was like, no, I'm going to be home early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Joanne. Oh, you're good. I can raise it up. You're gonna get. Oh, see, I got the perfect spot right here. I wonder if he's ever had a rally stop because of somebody. Probably. As hot as it's been.
And as long as he's been doing this, and as many places as he's been, you know it's been.
I think he needs to run for president.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe
It's better than what we have.
2020, if he runs and wins the midterm, then he can run.
Yeah.
Beto.
I mean, sweating.
That's funny.
Yeah, the back of his shirt was just drenched.
I know, it started with one little
One little spot.
Yeah, and then even the collar.
Oh, this thing for Beto.
A song for Beto.
Okay, I'm going to get a
Want to sing while we're waiting?
Maybe.
Real Texans are all colors, all religions too. With respect for one another, they value me and you. Real Texans have compassion, sharing, caring all. Beto is a real Texan, and we'll vote for him this fall.
If you're driving in a white Cadillac, license plate GSW 8777, or if you're in a Hyundai DNW 8505 blue, or in what appears to be a Chrysler DRP 6758,
Nope,
And
none of me.
finally, inaccurate, or I'm sorry, Toyota, DJ8X773. I will find you some parking right across the street. Those are private property that you're on, so if you would please meet me out there by this corner, and I would be glad to find you some new parking. Thank you.
Huh? I'm dying.
I'm totally starting to will.
You're not even sweating. You're not even sweating. You're not even damp.
Oh, yeah. Born and
So,
raised,
folks,
but
I just
yeah.
want you to know that the person
Just to
who
feel my
fell
back.
is going to be okay. So, fortunately, we had a lot of medical professionals in the audience.
Yes.
With good care and doctor's rule. Who's in there? Yeah. So, just an update. We'll be back on the program as soon as we can.
Our time in the day.
Yeah, that's why I'm over here and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Danny's got the perfect spot, man. She just lives right there. Shade. Yeah. This is usually what happens when I do block walking. Half of me is in the shade and half of me is in the sun.
That's why you're not sweating, because you've been doing block walk.
I'm conditioning myself. Oh yeah, no, you should. My back is so. So I may look, but not. Well, you know, Ted Cruz would have done that, would he?
No.
Well, first of all, he wouldn't even be here.
No. Too small. Little stuff.
Danny, I was just saying that, you know, Ted Cruz would have jumped off of the stage to. Well, yeah, first of all, yeah, then I said, yeah, oh, yeah, that's right. He probably wouldn't have even been here in the first place. It's too tiny.
Well, yeah, and he would not speak about the real issue.
Oh, no, no. And that's why he's had to go negative, because he doesn't.
About what people
So, Diane is going to be okay. Can we have a big round of applause for her? Wish her well, continued strength. So it's interesting. As will happen when you have been down and you're getting back up, folks want to make sure that you have your senses about you. And they asked her, do you know where you are? And she said, yes, I'm in Johnson City. Do you know what the day is? She said, yes, it's Sunday, August 5th, which I don't know if I would have been able to answer. And the last question they asked was, do you know who the next senator for Texas is going to be?
Yes!
Diane, thank you for coming out. We will want to make sure that we have a chance to take some questions. So we'll conclude, and let me just conclude with this. All the things that we want to do, that we came together for, those that I may have mentioned, could have been making sure that we fulfill our end of the bargain for those veterans and military retirees who've served this country, come back and may not be able now to get into a VA or to get the care or treatment that they deserve, that they've earned, to have a roof over their head, to be able to access that post 9/11 GI Bill. You want to make sure that we're fulfilling our end of the bargain, or for the very youngest among us, they'll remind us if this planet cooks another 2 degrees Celsius, we lose it forever. Folks will not be growing food and fiber. They will not be feeding and clothing Texas and the world, because we'll no longer be able to do that. They won't live in Houston and Rockport and Port Arthur and Port Aransas and Nome. because people can no longer live in that place. It's too close to the ocean. And 58 inches of rainfall last year, the landfall record in North America, will be eclipsed by storms that are ever greater, last even longer, and completely undermine our ability to live in this state and to pass on this planet to the next generation. If you care about the fact that this has become the epicenter for the maternal mortality crisis, twice as deadly for African American women in this state, as we have closed down so many of the family planning clinics in Texas and made it so hard for women to see a cervical cancer, get a cervical cancer screening, or see a provider, or make their own decisions about their own bodies. And you want to stand up for a woman's right to choose. Whatever got you out here, we're going to have to do this together. And it means people. No PACs, no corporations, no special interests, all people, all the time. And this is totally possible, 100% up to us, up to every single one of us. And there are some indications that it's working. Thanks to the doors that you've been knocking on, thanks to the phone calls that you made, thanks to town halls like these. The polls last week said we were 2 points down, just 2 points down from Ted Cruz, the sitting junior U.S. Senator from the state of Texas. Though he takes money from PACs and has super PACs and special interests and corporate interests and cultivated billionaires when he ran for the presidency at our expense in the state of Texas, last 3-month reporting period, he tells the FEC through those different channels he was able to raise a little more than $4 million. In that same time, you and I, without PACs or corporations or special interests, with an average donation of $33, made 215,714 unique times. To his $4 million, we raised $10.4 million. We're doing this together. Absolutely together. And we got to keep doing it, because all that stands between us and the 6th of November, the future, the fortune, and fate of Texas and this country, is the work that you're willing to do over the next 94 days. If you want to knock on doors, if you want to make phone calls, if you want to text your fellow Texans, if you want to celebrate a victory on the 6th of November and do not want to wake up on the 7th, wondering, given what's at stake and what's on the line, what more you could have done for your country at the moment that she needed you the most, take out your cell phone, text my first name, Beto, B-E-T-O, to 90975. I promise you it will not take you more than 10 seconds. It's Beto, B-E-T-O, to 90975. And I will put you to work. And you will be connected to tens of thousands of your fellow Texans and volunteers who are going to make this historic victory for our state and our country possible. Are you with me? I am with you. I'm looking forward to doing this. Thank you for coming out and welcoming us today. I am grateful. Thank you so much, Johnson City. Thank you. Cynthia, you ready? So Cynthia Cano, who's up here at the front of the stage, has got a microphone. If you raise your hand, she'll bring it over to you. We'll try to get a few questions in. Then we'd like to take some pictures. Post these online. Cynthia's telling me no pictures. No pictures. Sorry. Take a picture right now. You won't be able to pose for them. And I mean this. If you will put this on Snapchat, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, it shows the country, it shows Texas, it shows Johnson City that we were here. We don't take these pictures, if we don't put them online, it's as though this didn't happen. And this needs to have happened right now. So please take these pictures. It's how we spread the word and carry the message. So, first question.
First of all, I want to say I am a Cruz voting for Beto.
Right on. It took us all a second to catch up with you, but we're grateful. Thank you.
My question is, Congress is in dire need of bipartisanship. Why do you believe that compromise has become such a bad word in the past 20 years? Also, what are some topics that both sides can come together and work on without disrupting core beliefs on either side?
Great question. We were talking about how do we return decency and civility to public life? How do we disagree with each other on things that we care passionately about and still see one another as Americans and Texans and human beings worthy of being treated with dignity and respect? I was talking about that care that those veterans who have served this country are owed and have earned. and how hard it is for so many of them to get in to see a mental health care provider who can literally save their lives. Those with an other than honorable discharge previously by law were precluded from setting foot in a VA, seeing a psychiatrist or a psychologist who could treat their traumatic brain injury or their post-traumatic stress disorder. We wrote a bill called the Honor Our Commitment Act that would expand mental health care to more than 500,000 of our fellow Americans. But that bill, as well-intentioned and as well-written, if I may say so myself, as it might have been, was going nowhere if we could not find a Republican colleague with whom to work. And so we found that colleague in Mike Kaufman, Republican of Colorado. Though he's a Republican and I'm a Democrat, we both care for this country and the veterans that we seek to serve who have previously served us. Made our case to our colleagues, got it passed 435-0 in the House, worked every relationship in the Senate, made new ones where we had to, and 1 year to the day that we introduced that bill, we got it passed out of the Senate onto President Trump's desk for his signature, expanding mental health care, opening up access for those who had been denied it before, saving lives in the process. I would like that to be the example and the path. I would like Texas to be the bridge across the aisle and over the small stuff and the petty stuff and the paranoia and the things that just do not matter, and keep us focused on the big, aspirational, ambitious goals. And so I'm confident that whether it's care for veterans, protecting our public lands, making sure that we keep those public hospitals open, or expand Medicaid in the state of Texas, get behind our public school teachers, whatever our priorities, if we're willing to work together, we can make it happen. And so we treat every colleague with respect. You have not heard me denigrate my opponent or talk ill of another political party. That's not the way to get the job done today. All of us have to come together around a common cause, standing on common ground, with a common identity as Americans before anything else. Thank you for the question.
Exactly.
Ms. Tunnell.
Mr. O'Rourke, hi. I've never actually heard you speak before, but I'm very inspired because my belief is that political discourse, political debate in this country has died.
Yeah.
We no longer indulge in that. We indulge in something very less attractive, very less effective, that has no place in the political arena. So I don't really have a question. I just want to encourage you to keep speaking the truth and speaking about what matters and letting the rest go.
Thank you.
Yes.
I love what you had to say, and I'm grateful that you're here. There's going to be the temptation. Though we have visited every one of the 254 counties and continue to come back again and again, and we will over the next 94 days, though we're running this without corporations and PACs and special interests, as those negative attacks begin, and they've already begun.
Yeah.
This guy wants to legalize heroin is the latest ad.
Yeah.
This guy is for all of the most terrible things that you could be possibly frightened about. We have to decide whether we're also going to go low and try to scare you about him and attack his character and his family and him as a person. I just don't think that we have to do that. I think we can be focused on the things that we want to do together. This is going to be a test, right? There are going to be a lot of people who want us to go negative, who want us to go low, who want us to engage in that base level of politics and try to incite your fear and your anxiety and your paranoia. Harry Truman, we are a country founded not on fear, but on courage, on imagination, and an unstoppable determination to do the job at hand. I'd like to think that describes the people of Texas right now. Let's decide that once and for all this November. Yes.
Hi, my name is Josh. Drove down from Austin. Totally worth it. My question is, where do you see the future of net neutrality going, and how are you going to fight for it?
In 1999, along with some good friends in El Paso, Texas, we started an internet-based business, an online newspaper that was covering politics and culture and civic life in El Paso, the binational community of El Paso and Ciudad Juarez, everything that I was fascinated by and wanted to share with the rest of the world. Also, an online software development firm, not in the place that you'd expect to see it. You might find it in Austin, you might find it in New York. We were building it in El Paso, and in part, we were able to build that company that was successful and employed our fellow El Pasoans because we had a free and open internet, known as net neutrality. All data flowed at the same speed, no matter how much money you had or whether you had no money at all, whether you were a Democrat or Republican, a communist or a libertarian. We were going to make sure that whatever you created, your works of art, your point of view, your business, your product, you were going to be able to get it to that person at the other end of the pipe just as easily or with just as much difficulty as anyone else, with the end of net neutrality, which has come about due to a recent FCC decision. It will now be a world that is dominated by those who can pay to play. So the big corporations who already have an unprecedented concentration of power and wealth and privilege will be able to decide the news that you get, the art that you receive, the music that you listen to, the point of view that you can be exposed to. This is not good for business. This is not good for art and culture. This is not good for public life. This is not good for our democracy. That is why I'm going to work with my colleagues, Republicans and Democrats alike, to restore net neutrality so that we can get back to an internet that works for everyone and not just the few. So thanks for asking that question. Ms. Conlon. Okay.
Okay, I'm Carol, and I'm a proud retired public educator.
Thank you for your service.
I would like for us to be able to put the word protection back in the EPA, and I would like to know, we know you believe in science, but what are you going to do to work to protect the public lands, the national parks, anything that they are trying to take away and ruin?
Thanks for the question. Who would have thought last year that people in this country in the year 2017 would have to march against the Klan and white supremacists and neo-Nazis? But thank God people were willing to do that, right? Who would have thought that we would have had to march led by women, for women, when we have a president who denigrates women all of the time from the White House, who doesn't agree that women who are doing an equal share of work should be paid an equal wage? Who would have thought that 300 years after we thought it was decided once and for all in the Enlightenment that you would have people marching for science and facts and the truth? But thank God people were willing to do that. So let's make public policy that's based on facts, on science, on the truth, whether it's combating climate warming and the changes that we're already seeing in Texas. Farmers who can no longer grow the same things that their parents and their grandparents grew on the same land because the climate is already changing. Not something to prepare for, something to brace ourselves for, because it's happening in our midst. And this is the last moment that we have to change and to get it right. In our public lands, we have a president who's diminishing the size of national parks and national monuments. But there is a way, because we have the will. And I'll share this with you. There are 7,000 acres of pristine Chihuahuan desert wilderness in El Paso, Texas, that we call the Kastner Range. And back in the last administration, we implored President Obama to help us to protect those 7,000 acres that have seen 10,000 years of recorded human history. The first Americans, the first Paseños, the first Huarenses to ever live there 10,000 years ago left their impressions of the physical and metaphysical world on the walls of those caves and on the rock art that still exists. And it was about to be sold to developers, and we were going to lose our heritage forever. And the Obama administration, for whatever reason, decided that they couldn't protect that land. So as a member of the Armed Services Committee, working with my Republican colleagues, I wrote in that protection into the National Defense Bill, because that land today is owned by the Department of the Army, and our legislation will ensure that that land, all 7,000 acres, is protected forever in perpetuity. And the President, Donald Trump, signed that bill into law, expanding our national lands at the time that he's diminishing them elsewhere. Footnote: please no one tell the President that he signed that into law, because I don't think he knows that that was in it, but it was. So give me that favor. Okay, so that was our last question. We're going to hang out for a group photo, and it's going to really upset Cynthia, but indulge me, Cynthia. If you don't mind getting up here, I'll turn around, and if we can all come together, and to the degree we can get close while still respecting one another as much as we can, we're going to try to take the biggest group photo in Johnson City of this campaign, at least, okay? And we're going to make sure that everyone's in it. We're going to take a few photos so that we get every face, every person.